Okay, so today's question is regarding Finland. I think what the viewer asked is regarding human rights of the people, and as well as food shortage, and as well as any, further viruses coming or disease coming, and as well as lockdown due to climate lockdown. Okay, so let's get started. So the first two cards, this is with regards to human rights, especially of those who did not get the needling. And so these are the two cards that I came up with. And okay, so basically on the left you have the devil, and on the right you have the moon. So on the left here, if you look at the devil here, he looks very, he's like looking straight at you. So according to this person here, he is, to me, this is somebody who is very much into the system, and this one, the moon, is somebody who is outside of the system. So basically this is the person who I would suppose did not get her needling, or if she did, it is due to pressure. Okay, so basically these are the kind of people who have kind of like woken up, and they are not going to take it from the system anymore, whereas these people here, they are adamant about it, and to them they feel that those who did not get the needling, they feel that probably those who did not get the needling are causing harm. Okay, so let's have a look at these kind of people. So as you look, the way he looks straight at us is like he is very sure that he is correct, and if you do not agree with his view, that means you are incorrect, or he can only be correct. Okay, so these are the people who feel that who feed into the system and feel that the system is correct, and anybody who does not agree to the system is causing harm to the society. Okay, so the purple color again, once again, the color purple is the color of the authority. Okay, so then for here, this is the moon here. So this is talking about human rights. So with the unneedled people, what's going to happen to their human rights? Okay, so here the idea that came to me is that human rights is actually a term which is coined by man. Okay, so there is no, and it's basically, you use the word human rights, and in the past these governments have been using the term human rights to justify their actions, whether that action is wrong or whether it's correct, and usually those actions are wrong, because what is human rights? To me, there is actually no such thing. It's just a made-up term. Now, the more important term is humanity. Okay, so humanity, if you're talking about humanity, we don't need to talk about human rights, because by talking about human rights, you are limiting the fact that there is such a thing as human rights. What kind of rights? Right to this, right to that. It's kind of like limiting humanity. So to me, the moon here, it represents, she may not have the so-called human rights, but what she has is she has strength, in the sense that she believes in humanity, and humanity is backing her. Okay, but here you can see that she is crying. So here the moon is representing intuition, okay, and as well as the feminine energy. Okay, and as well as there are stars. So stars here represents, these are the stars, and the stars represents like the universal force. So the universe here, they are behind her. So at the end of the day, it's not the human rights that we have, but whether you are in touch with humanity. Okay, so here she is crying because the thing is, when you are part of the humanity, or when you have woken up and you realize that you are part of the humanity, what happened is that you feel everybody. Okay, and so she would be feeling those who are feeding into the system, who cannot see anything else. Basically, he has a one-track mind. So because you are now awake and you are part of the humanity, you can feel, you empathize with this kind of people, in the sense that you realize that they are trapped and they can see no other ways of, or they can't see any other perspective, and because of that they are trapping themselves without even knowing it. So that is where the sorrow comes in. Okay, so if you look at him, if you look at his face and chest, what happened is that the shadow, that's the thing I noticed about him, is the shadow. So there's only a small part of the face that is not covered by the shadow. So basically for these people, they are so deep into the system, but yet there is still hope in the part, for the parts that is not hidden by or blocked by the shadow. Okay, so yeah, so with regards to the human rights for the people who are not needled, well, the universe doesn't work that way, where they look into human rights, because once again, that is a man-made term. And by talking about human rights, it actually limits us. So the important thing here is whether you are tapping into humanity, because when you are doing that, humanity is part of the universal force, and the strength is just, is very powerful. So in other words, we don't need human rights so long as you realize that you are part of this humanity. I think the strength comes from there. Okay, so next is with regards to the food shortage in Finland. Okay, so then this card fell off, is the King of Cups. Now, if you look at him, what he is doing is that he is pouring from the jug into the cup. And if you look at his face, he got a mischievous look on his face. Kind of like he has found, this kind of mischievous look on the face is as if it's like a kid who has found the cookie jar that the mother has been hiding. And so the kid would then take from the cookie jar without the mother knowing, and he gets to enjoy it. And therefore he has a mischievous look on his face. So whether there is food shortage in Finland, to me it would seem, based on this card, it would seem that there could be, and that this food shortage, it is artificial. Okay, it is artificial. So here it shows the vegetation behind him, and it's probably dropping from a tree. So basically the vegetation is plentiful, food is plentiful. It's just that there could be an artificial food shortage. However, this artificial food shortage, if you look at the King of Cups, you look at his face, there is this mischief on his face. He's kind of like smiling a bit, because you know why? He has been able to cheat the system. He has been able to hack the system. So even though there is this so-called artificial or this food shortage, which is actually artificial, he is saying to us that we can get around the system. And therefore that's what he's showing. You see, I got a lot of coffee. I'm enjoying my coffee because I was able to hack the system. So what is telling me is that food shortage, if there is, then it is artificial, and because it is artificial, it's not substantial. People will find a way to hack the system. What I mean by that is that they will find a way to enjoy nature's abundance, which is, nature always gives abundance when it comes to food. Okay, so yeah, so the people, or somehow the people would be able to cheat the system and continue getting their food. So yeah, once again, the question is, will there be a food shortage? And I'm just looking at his face here, which is mischief, meaning that In the case of the story of the cookie, where the mother tries to hide the cookie, so here the authorities are trying to hide the food, but yet here with a mischievous kid, he is still able to get access to the cookie. So in this case, the people will still be able to get access to the food. Okay, then after that, the next question is talking about bioweapon or disease. Okay, so these are the two cards that I pulled out, the Magician and the Page of Cups. So let's look at the Magician first. So once again, I'm looking at here, which is black hair and white hair. So now you know where I'm getting at: white hat, black hat. Okay, so now let's look at this. The black hat here, he is really busy. He is truly a magician here. Magician in the sense magician doing magic tricks. Okay, so basically in this card it shows that he is doing magic tricks. So as you can see, his arms is really busy, and he's throwing up 5 pebbles in the air, and then he got to handle these 3 cups. So he is really busy. He is trying, and his tricks here, he has to be fast moving. Okay, so this is with regards to the disease. So basically he is trying to, you know, ramp it up or increase the speed with regards to this trickery surrounding the so-called disease. And then you also have the Page of Cups here. So the Page of Cups, here you have a very young, energetic girl. Okay, so here you have a very young, energetic girl, okay, and she is holding a key, okay, she's holding a key, and she's also holding a bow. So, and look at the look on her face. She has a smug look. So what I'm getting at is that she holds the key. In other words, she is the one who will unlock the events that are to happen. So in that sense, she is also putting him through kind of like a trap, okay? Because here she holds the key. She is the one who controls the events. She is the one who controls basically what is to unfold, and he unknowingly falls for it, okay? So in that sense, he is tricked, okay, into falling for her trap, okay? So she is setting the trap, and he unknowingly falls for it. He thinks that he is in charge, but actually he is not, while he is so intent in coming up with his stories or narratives or the so-called diseases, you know, the one that starts with a V, IRUS, okay? But she holds the key. She is the one who controls the events, and basically one of the events is to trip him up. Okay, so here he's really intent on his trickery, that he's looking down. He's not looking at what she is doing. And then the next question is about climate lockdown. So this is the card that came out, 6 of Cups. So here you see the climate lockdown. Does it look like a climate lockdown? To me, it doesn't. So here you see a boy, and he's looking up. His arms is like pointing up to the air, and there is butterflies and flowers. So if there is drastic climate situation, you wouldn't have these flowers. Okay, so the flowers are coming out. Well, okay, the flowers is in the air. At first I thought it's like coming out of his chest, but actually the flowers are in the air together with the butterflies. And the boy is looking up, and he's enjoying the fragrance of the flowers. Okay, and basically from here, he has this feeling of liberation. So would there be a lockdown from the so-called climate change? I don't see any lockdown. But the thing is, here he is not wearing any clothes. So usually people, when I see this kind of drawing where they're not wearing any clothes, it shows that they are more in touch with their natural self. Okay, so these would be the people who are not with him, okay, not with him. So here, basically, it is the people who are basically already awake. So from here, the cards here, it shows a lot of, okay, so this is those who believe in the system, and as you can see, okay, he definitely falls for his trickery. And then for this, which is the moon card, where she is also crying about, the brothers and the sisters who are still trapped in the system, who still believe in the system. This is where these people, or these people who are in touch with their intuition and therefore in touch with humanity, this is where they can feel some sadness arising from their inability to kind of like look beyond the system. Okay, and then after that, you also have her, which is the Page of Cups. To me, this is the white hats, and they are holding the key to the events that will be happening in the country. Okay, so this is the climate change. Would there be any lockdown due to the climate change? For those people who are already awake and who is in touch with humanity and therefore in touch with the universal force, they will not be feeling the effect of the lockdown. But however, only the people who really believe or fall for the system, they will be affected by the lockdown. So it's basically two realities here. Okay, so now I will summarize. So first of all, okay, so the first question is with regards to human rights. So what the cards is saying is that don't worry about human rights, but however, get in touch with your true self so that you can get in touch with humanity, because that is where the power will come from. Okay, so human rights, it is just a term, an empty term. It doesn't mean anything except to justify the wrongdoings of the people, the authorities, the corrupt authorities. Next is the King of Cups here. So if you can see the King of Cups, he has a look of mischief on his face, kind of like stealing from the cookie jar, even though the cookie jar is supposed to be hidden from him. Somehow he is able to get access to it. So with regards to food shortage, would there be a food shortage? In this case, it could be, and if it is, then it is an artificial food shortage. So with regards to this being artificial food shortage, you cannot hold the story for long. Eventually, people will find ways of getting access to the food. And then with regards to the, the disease that starts with a V, then IRUS. Okay, and as well as the needling. So here the black hats, they are frantically working as fast as they can to keep their story together, but eventually their trickery will fall apart because they're trying to handle too many things, because they are getting desperate. So this is the white hats. They are holding the key now, and they look pretty smug. They are actually enjoying it. And finally, the climate change. Would there be any lockdown? So basically, those who are awake, they know the story. They are not very affected by the lockdown. In fact, they feel liberation. However, it is only the people who fall for, the corrupt authorities' trickeries, that they will be affected by the lockdown. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.